Can you do, can you do me a favor? Can you look in the camera and say like, comment, and subscribe?
Like, comment.
Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. So
Oh.
to my grandson's channel. Say
Oh.
like, comment, and subscribe to my grandson's channel.
Like, comment, and subscribe to my grandson's channel.
You heard it. Okay, welcome back to If I Knew Then. Today we have my friend Celeste Harrington. She currently manages mental health and well-being in big tech, and outside of that is also a personal health coach. It's been a while, but I'm happy to catch up with you again. Thank you for doing this today. Before we get into it, can I turn it over to you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. I'm glad you said that we are friends. We are ex-colleagues and friends. Hi, everyone. I'm Celeste Harrington. Anthony and I met at my time at Microsoft and have stayed in touch since. I, like he said, manage mental health and well-being programs for the biggest of big tech. Find me on LinkedIn, you'll see who. And I'm really excited to chat a little bit more about this industry and how I got here and how someone else might find themselves in this space if they're interested.
Love it. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about your current role.
Okay, I am currently overseeing mental health and well-being programs, what does that even mean? So it's a lot of vendor management, which is not exactly where I'd envisioned myself, 15 years ago in this health and well-being space. We can talk more about what that means too, or how I got here. I think a lot of us probably think that when we're young that we would do something like really inspiring or with people. Definitely what I envisioned, helping people, and I do, but very far removed. So a lot of vendor management, and that means I'm ensuring that our services or the services that the vendor are providing the employees is the best of the best, the top quality therapists and coaching and mindfulness and meditation services from employee experience, whether that's from registering and onboarding or even learning about the benefit all the way through to after they maybe even consider graduating from care and they are hopefully feeling better and are maybe no longer even needing the service anymore. So that's one component. The other one is just programs and awareness. Always advocating for mental health and well-being. It's really hard in these tech spaces. Everyone is so busy at work and life. And it's really hard to say, like, do this exercise, do this activity, or learn about this benefit that you have. I'm sure all the benefit people can resonate. You just kind of turn blue in the face talking about what's available to the employees all the time. But that education is so important because it's maybe like a broken record for us, but it could be the first time for an employee hearing about it. So I think it's really important to keep, beating that drum that this is available for them. So that is kind of my role in a nutshell: advocating, education, vendor management, program development, all around mental health and well-being for the employees so they can do their best at work and in life.
I love that. So I'm a bit more familiar with the space, but for people who aren't, you talked about some of the programs. Can you give an example, like maybe high level what an EAP is, or what some of the mental health programs that you would support or lead are?
Yeah, definitely. EAP is an acronym for Employee Assistance Program. It's a very traditional word in the sense that is free therapy for the employees, free for the employee. The employer pays lots of money for that service to be free. And it's a really amazing benefit that not a lot of employers can offer, and not a lot of employers can offer what a lot of the bigger tech companies or bigger firms are offering for their employees. There's definitely a spectrum of care that's available out on the market. I just actually saw a presentation this week from a startup in the mental health space and was really blown away at how fast this industry has evolved. But it really it is just therapy for employees or even coaching for employees. Therapy still has a lot of stigma around it, especially around seeking care or even having a diagnosis, even though we wouldn't say the same thing as someone like broke their leg or seeking physical health care. So the people still are struggling to seek mental health care. So that's kind of where coaching comes into play. So kind of like back to that spectrum level of care, you have mindfulness and meditation, which is like prevention at its finest, and then coaching, someone who may not need a clinical level of support that therapy or psychiatry might provide. And the EAP services nowadays are providing all of those services across the spectrum of mental health care.
I love that. Thank you for that level of detail. It's always good to hear that spectrum piece, because I know there's a lot of people who are unfamiliar with that. I think you did a good job illustrating that. Can you walk us a bit through your journey?
I feel like it's interesting. It's interesting to me. Sure. Maybe it's interesting for people.
We'll see. I think it's interesting too.
I don't think mental health was on my radar. It wasn't on my radar, to be honest. I have a degree in health education and a degree in exercise science. And so I very much thought coming out of grad school that I would be much more in the fitness space. And I was for a long time. I was always interested in corporate wellness. I was going to do like this huge master's cumulative project on implementing a corporate wellness program at a local company in Chico, where I went to school at Chico State. If anyone's a wildcat, hello. But I'm laughing because now that I know what corporate well-being looks like what I was thinking at that time, and it was relevant to the time, so maybe I shouldn't laugh at past Celeste who had these ambitious ideas, because well-being pre-COVID was fitness. Like, we weren't really talking about mental health pre-COVID like we are now. And so that's how I started out. I can backstep one more role, actually.
Okay.
I was a health educator at Planned Parenthood during grad school. So that actually was where I kind of cut my teeth getting in front of people and educating and teaching about health and wellness, reproductive health specifically for kids in juvenile hall. It's actually, I don't think a lot of people know this about me. But so going from that to big tech and mental health is, I think, kind of a big leap.
Sure.
So that actually was probably one of my most impactful roles in my life. To be honest, I should talk about it more, because serving like underprivileged, underserved youth who are really struggling in the criminal justice system was really impactful. I remember some of the things that the students would say to me, and it just like really touches you, like the deepest part of your soul. So highly impactful work, but I knew I wasn't going to stay in Chico forever. It was also still part-time. And once I graduated from grad school, or even when I was still in grad school, I applied for an internship at Apple. And that was for their corporate wellness team. They always hired 2 interns. I ended up managing the intern program once I went on full time. So it was pretty amazing to have that personal evolution as well. But the internship was corporate wellness as it stood in, I don't know, 2010 to 2019 pre-COVID, where we have fitness centers, preventive health screenings, maybe you have a corporate wellness challenge, and then Apple had on-site wellness centers. And so I got to, as an intern, be a part of each of those programs, which was pretty amazing. And then I was offered a full-time role on the fitness side of the well-being department, and that was mainly fitness center operations. I mean, that was like a dream job at the time. Apple had a lot of fitness centers, so I got a ton of different exposure. I even got to go to Shanghai to help open a fitness center there, which was pretty amazing. And then Apple Park, the fitness center there, which is like top of the world, but in quality and just design, like being able to design a facility, pick equipment, just talk about that level of like a employee experience or user experience was just, I don't think I could have gotten that anywhere else besides
really cool.
there, with just like scale and quality and just the ability to have the top of the line, everything, like every finish, every piece of equipment, how it was placed. I remember this one meeting I had with the architects. We had an entire meeting, it might have been more than 1 hour, dedicated to towels and how we were going to fold. Were we going to fold or roll the towels, and in how many folds, and how they were going to lay in the shelving? Like, that is a level of detail that went into that project. And so it was really cool to be a part of that in multiple locations. So that was really fun. But then mental health came on pretty quickly. I was growing out of that role and wanted something else. I project managed for open enrollment one year, and I just kind of started doing a few stretch assignments. And then Apple started standing up a mental health team. And I was already doing some vendor management, either in the fitness space with some of the services like laundry or personal training, and then the fitness reimbursement benefit. So I was already kind of dabbling in the vendor management space. And so I was tapped to join the mental health team. And that is just kind of where I've stayed for the last almost 6 years now, which is kind of crazy. So from there, I manage mental health programs, therapy, EAP, education, awareness campaigns at Apple, Microsoft, and now Meta.
That's really cool. It's an interesting journey. Is there anything, like, do you take anything with you as you move from those roles? Because a lot of it is, I mean, we've talked in the past about transferable skills, I think, like just individually. But as you've evolved your career so far, you've moved from different levels of health, focusing from physical to now mental and emotional. Is there anything that you think, like, do you find yourself more in tune with this role because of your previous roles?
For sure. I mean, I think whenever I left Apple, I was looking for something that was going back to more education and awareness and out of crisis, because I was very much involved in crisis support and response. And I was like, this is not my wheelhouse. I do not want to be a crisis counselor or responder or coordinator. And so I think every role, you definitely take those skills and that education and industry knowledge. Because even though I think people can lump these tech companies all together, they all have different culture, they all have different resources, and they all have different priorities. Like Microsoft, for Satya to even know what Spring Health was like a really big deal. That isn't always the case across all these really jumbo companies, where you have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of employees. And so to get that sort of acknowledgement from the top was a really big deal. That was really unique at Microsoft, that I can definitely take to other companies of like, hey, here's how awareness and advocacy like really worked in like maybe one of the biggest companies in the world.
That's really cool to hear. Yeah. And I mean, it kind of goes into that this is something that probably needs to be built into the culture too. It's not just something that you can slap on or keep in parallel, and leaders need to be pushing it as well.
100%. I mean, I speak to peers in the industry at different companies all the time, and we all struggle with the same things of just like how to get employees, one, just to be aware, and then active users, but then also, mid-level management, upper levels of management, leadership to really understand the importance. It's really challenging. I mean, it's especially at these bigger companies where priorities are changing all the time, and the speed of trying to create these products that change the world. It's really hard to make it a priority.
Yeah. The awareness piece is not just in your vertical either. I feel like
No.
that's something that we all feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Making sure that employees know about and know how to access a benefit when they need it most is probably one of the harder conundrums for us to be able to solve.
Yep. I don't know anyone has solved it yet. It's a $1 million problem, maybe $1 billion problem to solve.
What would you say is something surprising or maybe like a behind the scenes look around your day to day in this space that someone who's completely unfamiliar might not realize?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I guess sometimes it's silly because it feels kind of like no-brainers to us because we're in it every single day. But I find that probably that awareness piece is something that I feel like you spend way more time on, or find that you can't spend enough time on it. I think that's one piece, but I think it comes down to really always advocating for your benefit is another piece. And that I think that kind of parallels the awareness and education piece, because you're constantly the one cheerleading for your own programs and advocating for your own programs. And I feel like maybe that might sound like a no-brainer for someone, but there isn't always buy-in for a benefit that spends a lot of money and a lot of resources that maybe might not get as much attention or utilization as you would expect. Because sometimes it feels like you are the only person who's like, this is so important. Why doesn't anyone else think this is important? Because I think a lot of people looking in from the outside will see like the benefit that's offered and say, that is amazing. I can't believe so-and-so company offers that's so incredible. It's like, yeah, it is incredible. Not everyone has the same feeling or even thinks about it in the same way you do. So always, I think that's just something that's always surprising to me sometimes, is validating, proving, and advocating for a program that the company funds, but kind of not always remembers that they fund it.
I think I had a couple of my friends who are in sales, and we kind of talked about this, where there are times where I have to remember that I'm almost in internal sales as well, where
Yes.
we understand the benefit of our programs and our benefits, but ultimately we are spending the business's money. So we have to be able to articulate the problem that we're solving or the benefit that we're adding. Sometimes it's easy to forget because we see it every day. But every once in a while you get pulled back into like, okay, it's a fair point. I got to rethink, how do I how do I really land the importance of this or the benefit behind this? So I think it's a
Yeah.
really good point.
I know. I think back sometimes, I'm like, man, I wish I got a sales or marketing degree because it would be so valuable to be able to
Yeah.
have those skills instead of having to always build them on the job or on the fly, depending on who you're trying to pitch to.
I think this is actually a good segue. Looking at the namesake of this podcast, If I Knew Then. So I always like to frame it that, is there a piece of advice that you wish you had earlier in your career, or that you would maybe tell someone who's looking to follow in your footsteps?
Another great question. And definitely, I feel like maybe I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier of thinking you like landed your dream job. I think back to like just being in this fitness space at Apple. Like, does it get any better than this? Like, have I reached the pinnacle of my career at this early stage of my life? I think that's like the advice I'd give to someone is you kind of never know what's around the corner. And I think at the peak of like my own personal burnout time, maybe 6 years ago or so, when I was like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. There's nowhere else I'm going to go. Something I coached myself through was like, there's always something to learn. And even if I had been in the same meeting every single week at the same time with the same people, I challenged myself to learn something new and like really show up and listen and have a takeaway. And I think I've taken that with me everywhere I've gone to really help progress and grow and continue to educate myself, even if it's just meeting someone new. Like, you never know where that connection is going to take you.
I think that's really good advice. I love that. Yeah.
You take that
Thank
one
you
with
for
you
that.
too, Anthony.
What'd you say?
You take that one with you too.
Thank you. Okay. So what's next for you? What are your future goals?
I mean, employee well-being and just well-being in general is a huge passion area of mine. And I'd love to keep seeing like directors of global well-being, chief well-being officer be part of the space and part of the conversation in those leadership rooms and board rooms. And I mean, I'd love to be in that position at some point in my career.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that would just be really for organizations to like realize that well-being is productivity. It's part of productivity. You can't have productivity without it. You can't have results without it. We hear about human sustainability all the time, and I think it's so important. So
Thank you
we'll
very
see.
much. Anything else you want to share before I let you go?
If anyone's interested in talking about well-being and mental health in industries or companies, especially outside of tech, I'd love to hear what other industries are doing. That's really fascinating to me too. Love to continue to expand my network in this space. So feel free to reach out if you're interested in keeping the conversation going.
Awesome. I will tag your LinkedIn in the YouTube video. So if anyone does want to reach out to Celeste, feel free. Celeste, it's always good talking with you. Thank you very much for doing this today. I really appreciate it. And I wish you continued success.
Thanks, Anthony. You too. Good chatting
All
with
right.
you.
Thank you.